I traveled abroad first time since, I think it was February 2020 or March, I don't remember. But anyway, it's a long time since I've been abroad or traveling for that matter. I went to Sweden, Örebro, to visit my family that lives there, or part of my family lives there. I only packed one camera and two lenses, and you probably guess what the lenses are. They were the 17mm f1.8 and 25mm f1.8. And I'm going to talk about which one is better for your travels if you already have, let's say, a travel zoom like for 14 to 150 or 12 to 45 or whatever that is. Because you might need that prime lens for your, fast prime lens for your nighttime shots. Hi there, my name is Peter Forsgard and I'm a professional photographer from Helsinki, Finland. And let's get right into the business. Like I said, many of us might have a travel zoom lens, which is quite convenient. You have several focal lengths and you don't need to switch the lenses all the time if you want to have a different crop, and you might not be able to use your legs as a zoom, so you need to zoom in to get a bit closer or get some details in the high end buildings, and you know what I mean. But like I said also that those travel zooms are not the fastest lenses usually. You might want to get or have a fast prime lens on your travels. And like I said in this video, I will see if the 17 or 25 is better. The 17mm is a classical street photography lens, so that might be one decisive thing. And the 25 is a standard lens which has a quite natural way of rendering the perspective. It resembles the way we see with our own eyes, even though our eyes have a bit wider field of view than a 25mm, but the proportions of things that are in front and in the back kind of like are in well balanced and look natural. So that could be something. Hey, you're still there. That's great. And if you haven't subscribed to my channel yet, you might want to consider that, because my channel is all about you getting to be a better photographer. And if you hit that notification bell, you will get notified when I post new videos. But let's get back to the topic of this video. The difference in angle of view can be seen here. Almost the same image, but taken with the different focal length. Okay, here is the 17mm and then there is the 25mm. Not much of a difference, but as you can see from this one, the difference can be quite big. And if you want those wide city scenes and are more into that, then maybe the 17mm or could be 12 either, but a wider angle of view might be something that you need. But if you like your crops to be tighter and if you're in a city, you might want to have a longer lens to squeeze the perspective a bit compared to the 17mm. And that could be the lens for you. And of course, if you are into people photography, then maybe the 25 is better for that. But it doesn't mean that you cannot use the 17mm. It's just a bit of a different image. What is your favorite? Do you already have a favorite set of lenses that you take on your travels? And does it make any difference if you're going a kind of like a more photo-centric trip, or if you're traveling with your family? Is there a difference? Do you have a different gear with you? Both have the same fastest aperture, f1.8. Usually when we're traveling and doing street photography, we don't care about the bokeh that much. It's not a big deal. You usually want to have more depth of field in general, of course. You might have some situation where you need that blurry background, but I don't think it's that big of a deal when you do travel photography or street photography. I think having more depth of field is a better thing. So the fastest aperture is not that important in that sense. Of course, when it gets less light, then it matters. That's why you want to have a faster lens, not because of less depth of field, but it's more about light. When you have, darker areas or darker time of a day, then that might be quite convenient to have. Even though we do have quite good IBIS on Olympus bodies, but still, you might want to have a shorter shutter speeds to freeze the motion. And image quality wise, both of these lenses are really good, so I wouldn't decide which one to get based on that. They both can give you really great images. It it's more about you than the lens and the image quality. Because as you see, these images that I've shown you, there isn't much difference. You can't really tell which one is which if you look at the image quality. Of course, the field of view can tell you what it is. And one good thing about these two lenses is also that it doesn't scream expensive gear. Big cities can be a bit scary if you have really expensive gear that screams that, hey, look, I have very valuable stuff on me. So that's also a nice thing. And you can, fit this in a smaller bag. You don't even have to have a camera bag. You might have something different and, just a regular bag that doesn't scream camera gear. You just, slip it in there and you're good to go. A lot safer too. But of course, if you are more into serious street photography and not only for travel, then you might want to consider the pro versions of these two lenses. I don't like to have them on my travels. I prefer these two small lenses or either one of these. I usually have the 25. That's more my style. But now when I was in Örebro, of course, I was with the family and we, walked together. So it wasn't a photo trip in that sense. And I took a lot of pictures, of course, of the family, but not that much of the tourist shots, except, of course, I did those postcard images because it looked pretty. And sometimes it's just too nice to have a pretty image as a memory. It kind of resembles the good feeling seeing my family or part of the family for a long time. I haven't seen them in, having nice weather. And, you kind of feel good. And then that's why I took a lot of these postcard images. And of course, family shots, which I'm not going to show because they're private. I realized that I took like 66 to 70% with the 17mm and the rest with 25, which is a bit strange for me because I usually like to use the 25 a lot more than the 17. This is because I usually, when I travel, I either have only the 25 and then I might have a travel zoom. That's for those things, or for those moments that I need a longer lens. So I was a bit surprised, and that's why I think it's a good thing to kind of like practice and use different kinds of lenses. And maybe sometimes in the future when I travel again, I might take the 17mm and not the 25. That's going to be interesting to see how that goes. But let's continue. Which one is better for you? What I would do is to check out my travel photographs and see what is the focal length that I've used the most. And see if you have a travel zoom, for example, 12 to 45, 12 to 40, 14 to 150, check out which focal length you use the most. If you use, let's say, the wider angle more than the telephoto angle, then you might want to turn yourself into more or have the 17mm with you. But if you have more towards the tele side, maybe 25. That could be one way of deciding. And also, it depends on your style. My style is towards 25, but now I realized that I took and used the 17mm a lot more. I don't know why that's the way it was. So it is sometimes a bit different, and you don't really know what the focal length you will be using. So that's why a zoom is not a bad idea. But then, of course, the fast prime for those night moments. There is one difference in the features. The 17mm f1.8 has an MF clutch and the 25 doesn't. And that's something that you might want to consider. If you use manual focus like I do sometimes, MF clutch is quite good. But of course, you could program the manual focus to a custom button. But it's a bit of a different workflow. And it works a bit differently. If you need a fast way of switching, then maybe the MF clutch is better. I'm more used to that. But, customizing the MF is not a bad idea. I mean, customizing to a custom button is not a bad idea. But the most important thing, of course, is that you look into your own images and don't take my word for it that use the 25, which I think that's wrong advice. The advice I can give you is to grab that fast prime lens that feels the best for you, that you're most comfortable with, and you will get the images that you like and want. But also we have to remember that if you have a 17mm, then don't look for those images that you need a longer lens. You start seeing differently if you use only one lens, and that's a good way of practicing photography, is to just have one lens for a certain amount of time, you start seeing things from that field of view, and you can kind of like find different images, and that could be a really refreshing way of practicing. If you want to do that on your travels, that's all up to you. I would not use that because we need those memories, those images that are memories for us. And that's why I think the practice should be done on your kind of like a free time. And then when you travel, well, that's free time also sometimes. But then you want to get those images, then have the lenses that you're more comfortable with and practice some other time. But, you know, it's up to you. Of course, you can practice during your travels. And for me, to be honest, I'm more towards the 25, like I said many times already. But like I said, don't take my word for it. Decide for yourself. That's usually the best way, because there isn't the right answer for this. We all have different answers and opinions on this. I can only say about myself and what I use. But hey, I hope you enjoyed this video, and here are some more videos about travel lenses. But hey, thanks for watching, and bye for now.